Hey guys, how we doing out there? It's time for another episode of From the Crow's Mouth, a video podcast hosted by yours truly, Mitch Cumming, lead singer, lead guitar player, lead songwriter, a lot of leads in there of the band Stone Cold Crows. Really excited to keep this podcast going. This is episode 6. Man, where does the time go? But we're going to talk today about the first song Stone Cold Crows ever wrote. Well, maybe not wrote, but the first one we ever recorded, When the Thunder Comes. But before we do that, anyone who's followed this podcast from the beginning has seen a few things change here and there, but one constant has been, I'm going to show you how to make something tasty while we sip on that and talk about some music. So today, a classic, but a good one, simple yet delicious, the Dark and Stormy. Maybe you've had one of these, pretty popular drink to order at bars. It's on a lot of menus, and for good reason. But if you haven't, I'm going to show you how to make one, and we can sip on one while we talk about When the Thunder Comes. So let's do that. Hey guys, on today's rock and roll bartender segment of From the Crow's Mouth, a video podcast hosted by yours truly, Mitch Cumming, the lead singer and guitar player for the band Stone Cold Crows, I'm going to show you how to make one of, in my opinion, the best rum cocktails out there, and it's been around since the early 1800s, the Dark and Stormy. This one has a bit of a kick to it, but it is ridiculously refreshing, and you can drink it all year round. I know I do. So, really simple drink. You're going to want dark rum. If you're making a true Dark and Stormy, Gosling's Black Seal, that's the original, that's where the recipe, and they even have a trademark on the drink. You can use Kraken Black Spiced Rum. Any dark rum will do, but if you want to be authentic, get yourself some Goslings. You're going to need lime juice. Now, the original recipe does not use lime juice, but hey, this is a drink made at sea. You won't get scurvy if you put some in, and honestly, I think it makes the drink better, so I'm going to use some lime juice. As always, fresh squeezed is better, but for the sake of simplicity in this video, I'm just going to use this. You're going to want ginger beer. Now today I'm using the Great Gentleman ginger beer. It's a little spicier than some of the other ones out there, which I personally like, but as long as you use ginger beer, not ginger ale, do not substitute. I tell you, just don't do it. It's not the right drink. You're going to need ginger beer and lime. Otherwise, get yourself a highball glass or another glass. I like a highball, it looks nice. Fill it with ice. Let's begin. You want to start with the rum. 2 ounces of black or dark rum. Pour that into your drink here. If you are adding lime juice, this is the time to do it. So I'm going to use, maybe half an ounce of limey goodness. Scurvy for this sailor. And of course, as you can see, there's not really a lot of room left for ginger beer, but you're just going to top it up. Give it a nice little stir, make sure everything mixes evenly. Perfect. And you can garnish with the lime. And if you want a little extra lime, just run a lime slice around the ring of the glass there. Voila. Simple, effective, refreshing, the Dark and Stormy. So cheers, and I'll see you on the music part of the podcast. Oh, yeah. Alright guys, we are back, and now you've got a Dark and Stormy in your hand, or maybe it's a French 75, because that's what I showed you how to make last week, and we're one episode behind. I don't know, but I've got a Dark and Stormy in hand, and I'm pretty happy. Gotta love a good rum drink with some ginger beer. I really like ginger beer cocktails. But we're going to talk about When the Thunder Comes, and like I said, this was the first song that Stone Cold Crows ever recorded. And you might think, when listening to the album, this is the most rock and roll of all the songs, and that is probably because when Stone Cold Crows was going to actually be a band in the world. We were not going to be a hard rock band or even a metal band. We were going to be a hard blues band. And this song was written for that sound. And actually, so you can hear the like similar like bluesy kind of guitar riffs, we add a little stadium rock kind of vibe to it, and it was probably the heaviest song of the other musical direction that we were going to take. And now it's kind of like the lightest song of the new direction. And there's a little bit of a story behind that, and I'm going to tell the whole story between this episode and the next episode, before The Devil Knows We're Dead, the first song we ever released into the world. So talking about this, though, it is the rock song. It's really simple. You've probably just heard stadium arena rock before with those like whoa kind of choruses where everybody sings along and you can hear it once and you can sing along with it. That was kind of the point. It's very anthemic, which does tie into the lyrical content, and I'll get to that. We'll talk about the music part first. The stadium vibe and anthem thing, I always thought, it's fun to do live. You go to a concert, you get everybody participating, and there's just something great when, I can say it because I've had it happen while I'm on stage, but when you've got all these people who you've never met before, and they are all just singing something in unison, it's a fantastic feeling. And this was kind of just like, well, make it easy, because some of the lyrics for some of the other songs and some of the melodies aren't exactly something that you're just going to pick up immediately, or at least it doesn't have that same vibe that you could really like shake the house with a bunch of people singing in unison. And this song was designed to do that. But it was also designed to be bluesy. And it is. The guitar riff, stupidly simple. A lot of just chords. Again, going back to my rock and roll roots. Bluesy rock like ZZ Top, AC/DC, even like Kiss. Stuff like that. It's really simple, and it was just designed to be simple. The bass essentially just kind of trucks along on an open A string. This was recorded in standard tuning. Everything about this song was simple. And when we recorded it, we thought, hey, this is pretty good. We started with it as the first song just because of how easy it was going to be to shake off the rust. For me particularly, because I hadn't been to a recording studio or on a stage in over 10 years. So, getting used to playing to the click track and making sure every single note is punched exactly how you want it. On a recording, that's really important. If you ever go and play live, people are like, wow, how does he play without making mistakes? Like, it sounds perfect. We, as professional musicians, make mistakes all the time on stage, and you barely notice it. But in a studio, you have to make sure that everything is done perfectly. If you're a stickler for that kind of stuff. Some of the older recordings, maybe you can hear the subtle nuances and imperfections, and some people really like that. But in today's game, that's a big no-no. So you got to be really on your game. And so picking the easiest song just made sense. And so we banged it out really quickly. It was like a day. And then, of course, the story you might have heard a few times now. We were going to record an EP, and then lockdown in Ontario. A lockdown with some severe financial implications should we be caught out and about, and so we had to cut it short. But When the Thunder Comes was just the introduction, and realistically, it's the shortest song we have. And it made the most sense to be a single, except for that was not going to be the sound of the band. Once we decided after recording the other song, Before the Devil Knows We're Dead, that was more the direction we wanted to go. And we're like, we can't put this song, even though it is very much a single, out into the world first, because everybody's going to think this is what the rest of the band sounds like. And in fact, after we did Before the Devil Knows We're Dead, we had to go back to When the Thunder Comes and add in extra instrumentation just because of how that kind of came out. We needed more orchestra kind of sound to it. So it just sounded hollow even without that stuff after listening to Devil. And so that was kind of interesting. And I was personally really hesitant to even put this song into consideration at all. But when I sent the original round of songs to Adam and Bryson after I'd talked about getting this band together and this project, a lot of them were recorded on an acoustic guitar and my cell phone. and it was just like me strumming some chords. I didn't even necessarily have the melodies worked out, but it was like really bluesy, really southern, folky at times. And this was one of the ones that I actually recorded on my other, it's like a Roland 8-track recorder. I think I talked about it in the last episode. It doesn't work very well anymore, but I was able to use extra instruments and a drum machine just to give a basic vibe. And both Bryson and Adam said they wanted to do this song. And I was like, I don't know, it seems a little plain to me. But I'm glad we did, because it is a bit of a rocker. It's an anthem. And it'll probably be the lightest Stone Cold Crows song in terms of the rockiest anyway. We're probably going to be a little more hard rock, heavy metal going forward. So this is going to probably be the song that stands out a little bit in that regard. But when it comes on, it's just like, oh yeah, I could hear this playing maybe over the arena speakers at a hockey game or a football game or something, and that's kind of the vibe we wanted, and we got it. So what's the song about? Some of the lyrics are a little metaphorical. I do like to write a lot in metaphor, and, well, let me tell you. So anybody who's been paying attention to the news in the last couple of years has seen a few things going on, and I don't really like to discuss politics per se, but I kind of had a feeling like society, at least where we are in North America, Canada, but even the United States as well, and perhaps more so in the United States, there's been a lot of civil unrest and divide, and sometimes leadership, when it is not doing what everybody in the public thinks is for the best interest of the public, revolution kind of starts to brew underground. Like the term thunder underground is kind of where that came from. And so the lyrical content, like, it's raining on the rooftops, oh, can't you hear the drums? Like, I don't know if you've ever been caught in a thunderstorm under a tin roof before, but it gets pretty loud. And watching some of these films where in other countries civil unrest is perhaps not so civil, and you see like people banging like sheet metal and stuff like that, it kind of reminded me of that. And the whole concept came when I started thinking, like, I used to be a history major. I really like history. It's interesting to learn about. And in old France, like, if they didn't like what the king or queen or whoever ruling was doing, like, they would literally overthrow them and execute them and put somebody else in. And I'm not saying that's what I would be calling for in modern society or anything, but you could see, I could see anyways, as a casual observer, something has got to give here, because for a country that is so united, and I should say countries because it's very much this a North American thing right now, it seems like everything has to be either so far left or so far right, and there's no in between, and the two sides are at each other's throats all the time, and it just felt like, man, what kind of revolution is going to happen? And I'm not going to comment on any specific events, because, again, I don't want to touch actual politics with a 39.5-foot pole, as the lovely Grinch song goes. It is Christmas season, after all. But you could see that something's got to give, and there was going to be some kind of mass protests or riots or whatever, and that's what the song is about. It's just that feeling. It's not necessarily about any specific event. It's about that feeling that you just know somebody has done something wrong and has been taking advantage of everybody else for so long, and when the mob comes, it is like a thunderstorm ready to hit, and there is nowhere that you can go. You can batten down the hatches and try and ride it out, but if that storm's coming for you, it's coming. And that's realistically what the song is about. There's not really a whole lot else to say about this song. It's very simple. It was quickly done. Speaking of the studio, though, and lockdowns, I should probably say I'm filming this episode early. If you're watching this was filmed the day after I filmed the last episode, and you might be like, well, why are you doing that? Because at this time, when this episode is out, I and Bryson will be back in the studio with Adam once again. So if you're watching this now, as it comes out, 6 p.m. on Wednesday, chances are I am sitting with a guitar in my hand or my face pressed up to a microphone, and we are doing something fun because we want to close out the season with something good on the horizon. And next year, 2022, we're going to be mapping out some battle plans because Original Sin Part 1 is only Part 1. There is at least Part 2 and Part 3 coming, a trilogy. And we're excited to kickstart off the new year with a bang. We got lots of stuff in the works for you guys. So check out When the Thunder Comes. Check out the whole album realistically. By the end of the year, we'll have some news probably to give you guys. Maybe as a little Christmas present or a New Year's gift or whatever. But that's really all I got to say this week, guys. Really exciting stuff coming. So, as always, you heard it here first, straight from the crow's mouth. I'm your host, Mitch Cumming. Dare to be different. Create cool shit. Cheers, and we'll see you next time. Adios.